Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and on this episode we're walking in Memphis. The topic of this Walking in Memphis, CWA Wrestling from March 19th, 1998. And if you want to watch the show I'm about to review, there is going to be a link here in the description. If you want to pause the video, go watch that. Come back and watch this. With that being said, we grade everything on a 1 to 5 scale here, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Let's jump right into it. We start the show off with Jerry Jarrett comes out to give Lance Russell the Announcer of the Year award as voted by the wrestling fans. They didn't name a specific wrestling magazine. I kind of think it had to be something like PWI gave out, or maybe they just made it up. But he definitely deserved it because Lance Russell's he's awesome. For these, we do rate the segment basically from commercial to commercial. Sorry if you haven't seen this before. From that, we get a phone call from Jerry Lawler, who's giving us an update. As we're getting the call, we see why he got burnt in the face by Eddie Gilbert, who threw a fireball at him, which brings out Eddie Gilbert and Missy Hyatt, who talks on the phone to Lawler. Fantastic stuff. I absolutely love Eddie Gilbert. I mention it every time he comes up on one of these. Him and Dutch Mantell, they're my two favorite Memphis wrestlers of all time. I wish that more people got to see Eddie Gilbert's work because Eddie Gilbert is just a master. I mean, there's not much more you could say about it than this guy controlled everything. He was a great in-ring wrestler. He was a great mind when he booked. He was a great interview when he talked. I mean, everything about Eddie Gilbert was fantastic. The interview leads us right in. Gilbert says, who has the record for the shortest match, and it's Lawler. So he says, well, I'm going to beat that now. So we lead right into a match with Alex Reynolds. Gets in the ring, or Alan Reynolds. Alex Reynolds is currently wrestling. Maybe it's his father. You never know. But he gets in the ring with Alan Reynolds, puts on Nux or something on his hand, knocks him out with one punch, wins the match in 11 seconds, thus setting the record. Goes back over to the table. Dave Brown tells him what the new record is, the 11 seconds. He talks about being the legend killer, talks about wanting to get with Steve Keirn, wanting to fight Steve Keirn, so they show a little video of Keirn as well, and him. For that whole segment, I'm giving that a 5. They started off hot, and no pun intended, with hot stuff and the fireballs, but it was really good. I really enjoyed everything in that whole first segment. Now, coming out of that, we go to an interview with the Gilbert family, which is Doug, Tommy, and Eddie, and also Missy Hyatt. And they're basically talking about Eddie Marlin. They're talking about Jerry Lawler, and that brings out Jerry Jarrett. During the course of this, Jerry Jarrett gets hit in the face with a fireball, which brings out everybody to stop it and take care of him. That leads us right into a match where Tommy Gilbert and Doug Gilbert go up against Scotty the Body. Yes, that's the one that would become Raven. And Doug Dancing. I have no idea who Doug Dancing is. I don't think he did anything much after this. This was a quick match, about a minute and a half. The Gilberts pick up the win here. Afterwards, we see Eddie Marlin come out. Eddie Marlin basically has been goaded into a match with Tommy Gilbert. He says he's going to fight him because he injured Jerry Jarrett, which, if you don't know, is his son-in-law. Then we get Lawler calling back on the phone. He talks to Eddie Marlin, tells Eddie Marlin he's coming back. If Eddie Marlin could take care of Tommy, he'll take care of Eddie Gilbert. Really good stuff here. I'm going to give that whole segment, again, a 5. I really enjoyed this. I love the story that's being told. And if you're watching along with these Walking in Memphises, we're watching these in a bubble. We're not watching them weekly. So if I like to think of these as if I was a new viewer that was just flipping through the channels and found this, would I understand it? And yeah, I do get some of these wrestlers and some of their gimmicks, but I don't know where their storylines are at these points. They're telling you everything you need to know, who the important players are, who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, just how willing the bad guys are to how far they're willing to go, just how, I guess, virtuous the good guys would be. They're telling you all of that right there up front. Again, I'm giving that whole segment a 5. Now, coming from that, we get the Nightmare Kenny Wayne and Ricky Nelson going up against a team called Rough and Ready. I don't remember Rough and Ready. It's two guys in a mask. It's possible they had a little run. I didn't do much research. I don't try to do too much research in these unless someone obviously sticks out to me if I don't remember them. I don't know if these were guys that stayed around for a year, stayed around for 6 months, or they were just two guys that were in the studio, so they put them under a mask to do the match. Ken Wayne and Ricky Nelson pick up the win on this one. Another quick match. I'm giving this one a 3. It was kind of just okay. Then that was its own segment. From there out, we had 3 matches that were all their own segments. Next up, we get Don Bass, Brickhouse Brown, and Terry Adonis, and they're going up against the Zebra Warriors and the most unfortunately named wrestler in the history of wrestling, Ken Raper. God, that's such a shame he had that name. Again, this was really quick. It felt like it was rushed. It felt like maybe the first segments took more time than they should have, and they just wanted to fit this in because they advertised it. Bass, Brickhouse, and Adonis pick up the win here. I'm giving this one a 2. It just felt rushed, and it didn't feel like it was a great match altogether. And finally, for the last segment in the final match of the night, Max Payne and Gary Young going up against the Bruise Brothers, Ron and Don Harris. If you've seen a couple videos ago, me talking about the Bruise Brothers, I talk about how I dislike them. I'm going to try and be as objective as I can when their matches come up. This was a good match. I enjoyed it. I do enjoy Gary Young. Gary Young's like another one of those hidden gem type wrestlers at the time. I really enjoyed him. I remember watching him a lot more in World Class at the time, and I think he even went on to Global. I could be wrong about that, but he was really good. Max Payne was good here. You would most know him from his WCW run where him and Cactus Jack Mick Foley were the tag champions. The Bruise Brothers, of course, they've been everywhere in every company, and I'm not going to cover it again. If you want to know, go watch my most recent. It came from the network that's covering ECW. I believe it was CyberSlam 96. Go watch that and you'll see why I dislike them. I go into depth there. This was, again, a good match, but it kind of felt rushed again. I'm giving this one a 3. Payne and Gary Young pick up the win on this. Overall, I thought it was highly entertaining. The first half of the show felt like it carried the second half of the show. I would still recommend watching the majority of this. I rather enjoyed the majority of the show. Overall, I'm going to give it a 4. That first half was such high quality that I can't not give it a better grade just for that. Now, with all that being said, let me know what you guys think. Smash that like button, comment, subscribe, share the video. If you made it all the way to the end, let's put Zebra Warriors in the comments. There's probably no chance we're ever going to get to talk about the Zebra Warriors again unless they come up in some other matches. So let's go ahead and throw them in there. With all that being said, my name is George Coles, and we've been walking in Memphis.